Am I the butthole? I eat a fort telling my husband he's too broke to be so sexist. Throw away. So my husband comes from a traditional family. Mom's a som, father was sole provider. I come from the opposite. My mother pretty much forbade from ever being financially dependent on a man and drilled that into me early on. My husband worked hard to unlearn the values he saw replicated at home. He, often more than, pulled his weight at home, was an engaged and present father and a genuine partner. The one thing that grinds my gears is how much weight he puts on the opinions of his family. I get that we all want our parents to be proud of us, but this is too much. My ills are staying with us for 2 weeks. Our usual MO is, I prep breakfast, we all eat lunch at work school, and my husband makes dinner. We have a cleaner, but she's on holiday, so in the meantime we are DIYing the cleaning where it's down to everyone to keep their space clean and common spaces we all clean. This is how we've always done it, and it works. My ills hate that I'm one of those modern women. They hate that I work, they hate that I don't find my purpose in being a wife and mother, and they hate that my husband pulls his weight at home. We spoke pretty frankly early on, where I established my boundaries and told them I won't be chastised about how I live my life in my home. When I am a guest in their home, I accommodate their ways and play the dill they wish I was. They have for the most part respected this. I got home yesterday after work tired and starving. I typically get home 18:15, 30 and we eat at 1900. I said quick hellos and ran up for a pre-dinner shower. When I came down, I went to the kitchen to help set up for dinner and found nothing ready. I asked my husband about it, but he wouldn't look at me, and his mother answered that he hadn't cooked anything. She told me I needed to do my duty as a wife and cook for my family. My coward of a husband still wasn't looking at me. I just walked away and ordered takeaway. I dished up for me and my kids and we sat at the table to eat. My husband and his parents served themselves and joined us. My meal was still going on about what was wrong with me and why I was a failure. I asked my husband if he had anything to say. He said his mother had a point and it wouldn't hurt if I acted more like a proper woman and took better care of my home and children. He said tradition was tradition for a reason, and it was kind of insulting that I thought I was too good for how he was raised. This is where I might be the asshole. I told him tradition won't allow a man on 35K to support a family of 5, and he was too broke to be so sexist. He looked hurt and I saw tears welling in his eyes. He excused himself from the table. I regret saying this in front of our children, but him saying that to me after I'm busting my ass to clean up his mess on top of having to deal with his parents was too much for me. AmITheA. Sucks the kids were there for it, but he deserved worse. NTA. Should have ordered only enough food for you and the kids. IT was surprised that she ordered enough for Mill and hubby. I'm more surprised she didn't order a hotel room for the in-laws and her soon-to-be ex. And I call him STBX because he never would have pulled this little stunt if he didn't believe his mom and dad down in his heart of hearts. The hotel room should be for herself until the in-laws leave. Nope, the hotel room would be for the in-laws and husband. She did nothing to have to leave her home and potentially her kids at their expense. OP and husband can't afford to pay for a hotel room for them. I wanted to but I couldn't quite bring myself to do it. I love that you ordered enough. You did your duty and feed your family, so they can't be mad. And you did it as an income provider also. Is like a double kill them with kindness kick. NTA. Sucks that the kids had to hear all of that, but do not feel guilty over this. When he joined his mother in her BS, he brought it upon himself. He needed that reality check and sounds like it stung him hard. Next time the in-laws show up, just take the kids and leave. Let him deal with his parents' stupidity. Just because they are family does not mean that you have to put up with their crap. Sending you hugs and positivity. The kids also got to hear the husband and Mill degrade up as a human and a woman. It's not the worst thing that her kids saw her standing up for herself. Mill was also wrong. Traditionally, women always worked. They had different jobs to men of that time period, but they worked outside the house. Poorer people had their kids working as well. It was only from the 20th century, or if you were very rich, that women didn't work en masse. So, whichever way you look at it, she's wrong. NTA. Your husband was indeed a coward. He has been a willing participant in your marriage all along and has gamely contributed to the agreement you have that works for you both. It was incredibly hurtful of him to not uphold his own decisions, nor defend his wonderful partner of a wife to his parents. When the shit hit the fan, he failed to hold up, and that's a really sad realization for you. What he said might have been hurtful and cutting, but it was the truth, and only came out because he said, also in front of your children, that you weren't a proper woman and didn't take adequate care of your home and children. Frankly, he needed to hear it. How can he think you should be more or better with all that you're already doing? Does he think it's really a valid option for you to just drop your work and career to be a homemaker? And how does he think that's gonna go for your family? It's absurdly impractical and makes him look like an imbecile to think it has merit. Hate to fall into old Reddit tropes, but it's gotta be therapy or divorce time. No. Definitely do the therapy route because it sounds like he's like 85% bought in and working to be a better person, but that 15% reared its head when his parents came around, which might mean you need some firm boundaries against his parents. It's sickening that they abused their influence of him and used their time with him alone to turn him against you. If it were me, they would not be welcome in my home ever again, and I'd be seriously considering limiting their access to the grandkids as well, because they are poisonous against you. Agree with all of this, and I'd ban his parents from the family home as well. Agreed, this would be the last straw. No more ills at the home if they can't respect OP. This, even if all sexism was removed, someone who says things like Mill did needs to be kicked out and never hosted in Op's home again. WTF. NTA. A home is for family and friends, your mother is neither. NTA. To be honest, I would have been even meaner. Oh honey, I would love to be there for my children and cook meals for you, but as you can't provide for me, like a traditional man would, and can't lead but are led by your mother, I'm forced to be the man and the woman here. I also won't tolerate to be talked to like your mother does in my own home. In my home, eating food I pay for. Another word and I will kick them out. Your husband needs a spine. Desperately. Seeing as how you're not a real man, I can't be a real woman. I really liked that Op's response specifically called him sexist. I think it was important to say that out loud in front of the kids. Mind you, I'm hot-headed and would have said something really mean, LOL. But I respect Op's response. My response also isn't very productive in the sense of keeping the relationship. I honestly would have kicked my Mill out if she dared to call me a failure with food I paid for and in front of my hypothetical kids. But my so's mom is actually great and my BF would never let that happen in the first place. NTA. I get you want to present a united front to the kids, but he said that about you in front of them, and that is not an idea you want taking root in your children's mind. He was banking on you bowing to pure family pressure to get away with this disrespect of you and your family's normal way of division of labor. He gambled and lost on that, and I am really proud that you did not bow down just because his parents were there or that the kids were in the room. Too many people let things like this slide, so as not to upset the apple cart. This is all on him. He decided it was better for him and easier for him risk your feelings than stand up to his parents. He chose to upset you versus upsetting his mother. I honestly would not have let them have any of the takeout food. I would have probably taken my kids and left to have dinner with just me and the kids. This, Opie, you gave your husband the opportunity to stand up to his family, stand up for you, and he rejected it. Therefore, in front of your children, he was agreeing that you were not doing your job as a wife. That is an objectively sexist message. No shade on SAH wives or anyone who finds fulfillment in being a homemaker, but people should fill that role because they want to or because it works for their family. It's wrong to impose that on others due to their gender. Once he declined to refute the sexist statement, it was your obligation as a parent to indicate that it was a sexist statement and how inappropriate it was. Were there ways you could have done that without pointing out his embarrassing hypocrisy? Sure. But you didn't owe him that, and you are NTA for choosing this way of standing up to him. In fact, my inclination also would have been to order dinner for just you and the kids, leaving him and his parents to fend for themselves. You were at least kind enough to get them food, after their initial bout of treating you disrespectfully. Exactly. All he had to say to his parents was, "It's 2024 and we don't live like that in our house." NTA. My Mill was still going on about what was wrong with me and why I was a failure. I asked my husband if he had anything to say. He said his mother had a point and it wouldn't hurt if I acted more like a proper woman and took better care of my home and children. He said tradition was tradition for a reason, and it was kind of insulting that I thought I was too good for how he was raised. This is where I might be the asshole. I told him tradition won't allow a man on $35K to support a family of 5 and he was too broke to be so sexist. NTA, I agree what you said needed to be said, especially since your in-laws were present. I also agree it should not have been said in front of your children. Your husband let his parents get into his headspace and he ran with it. I don't think it's helpful to hurt your partner's feeling in a relationship. However, occasionally you need to take a stand. I was home on maternity leave and I was helping a friend plan a shower. My husband magnanimously offered to babysit when I went out to meet my friend, to discuss the plans and grab a few decorations. Let's leave it at a rather lively discussion ensued regarding parenting versus babysitting, and my husband never offered to babysit our children again. You know, normally I think you shouldn't bring up dirt in front of the kids, but kids learn to normalize what their parents tolerates. She needed to say something in front of them, so they knew mother-in-law's abuse and daddy's weakness is not normal or right. Maybe not what was said, but something. Yeah, they'd already learned a lesson from their dad. I think they needed to see what happens to men who pull that crap with a strong woman. That's all for today. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to hear more hilarious, scary, devastating, heartwarming, and amazing content. Thanks and have a great day.